Glory to Jesus Christ. Father Jason here. I want to give a few words with regard to the meetings between Trump, Putin, Trump, Zelensky, Trump, and the heads of the European states, what it means for peace, what it means for Ukraine, and what it means for the church. You know, in Psalm 55, we read these words: His speech was smooth as butter, yet war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. As you read the press release from the Russian Federation with regard to the meeting with Trump, it just sounds so good. And had I not been exposed to the whole former Soviet sphere, Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, I don't know if I would have been able to see through it. But when you read what Putin released after his meeting with Trump, it's like, oh, this is so reasonable. And this is the same thing that Scripture speaks about, is that people who are violent, they disguise themselves and their words through words that are like honey. There's a verse from Jeremiah chapter 9. The tongue is a deadly arrow. It speaks deceitfully. With his mouth, each speaks peace to his neighbor, but in his heart he plans an ambush for him. And so this is what we're seeing with Putin, is that if he were intent on peace, then the day that Zelensky and Trump are meeting, namely yesterday, he would never have bombed the residential buildings in Zaporizhia and Kharkiv, resulting in the death of a toddler, a teenager, and the maiming of other children and adults. Someone who's intent on peace does not bomb toddlers. So this is what a lot of the talking class who know nothing about the Russian world are missing. They're missing this, that we generally, despite our faults, we are coming at negotiations with the mindset that negotiations and agreements, accords, treaties are an end to war. They're either an end to war or they're on the way to ending war. With Russia, it's the exact opposite. Negotiations and treaties are staging grounds for the next conflict. I'm not saying that because I'm Ukrainian and I have some kind of animus against Russia. I'm saying this based on my extensive reading of Russian history, is that negotiations for us are staging grounds for peace. For Russia, negotiations and the settlements that come out of them are staging grounds for the next conflict. And proof of this is seen in the absurd demand on the part of Russia that all of Donetsk Oblast be given over to Russia. Well, there's no reason for that other than to be able to acquire by tongue what he cannot acquire by artillery, namely the whole fortified belt going near Kramatorsk and Sloviansk and that whole area, and then down south towards the line of contention. That is a massive fortress that the Ukrainians have been building up for over a decade, and the Russians will never be able to take it. They'll never be able to take it. It's that foreboding. And so he's trying to say, you know what, let's just have peace. But hey, by the way, you have to give us all of Donetsk Oblast, which, by the way, has a lot of rare earth minerals, titanium, and other deposits. And so this way, he's able to acquire what he cannot acquire militarily. People need to realize that. The other thing is I was very, very impressed at the news conference yesterday how often mention was made of the 20,000 children. This is something that Russia does not want to acknowledge because it shows their true nature, is that this is about demographics. Both Russia and Ukraine are in a demographic death spiral. It's a legacy gift of communism and the Soviet Union. Go socialism. And, life was so miserable, people just gave up on reproducing. And as soon as the institution of the Soviet Union collapses, don't think that that mentality collapsed. It didn't. So Russia's further along in that demographic winter for a number of reasons. But I mean, it's a small distinction. Russia and Ukraine, Belarus, they're all suffering from this. Russia is using, however, military might to try and reverse it by forcibly recouping populations. And this is shown in what? They get in, what do? They kidnap children. They abduct them, and from their own parents. It's evil. This is what we're dealing with. So when we have moronic people saying that Russia wants to rebuild Christian civilization, yeah, just look at their actions. Murder, rape, destruction, violence, killing, and the kidnapping of children. So I was very glad with what happened at the White House yesterday, that the fate of these 20,000 children, which is a conservative number, by the way, were put on the agenda. This is a non-negotiable. These children have to be returned back to their parents where they belong. The other thing that came up is with Putin is the requirement that the Russian Orthodox Church be given freedom in Ukraine. Well, that's a rich one. And I really hope that the Western negotiators will see through this and say, well, if we're going to establish that as a standard, religious freedom, which is, yeah, I think we can all agree religious freedom is a good thing. By the way, Ukraine has given religious freedom to every denomination. I've lived there, and I can tell you that even the Russian Orthodox Church, even while they were undermining Ukraine still gave them all the religious freedom they wanted and let them take over the main national heritage sites. So that they've been more than generous. But whatever Russia is requesting in Ukrainian territory, then we have to be consistent and say, you know what, Russia, then the same goes for you. This is not rules for me, but not for thee. If you're going to demand for peace that the Russian Orthodox Church be granted freedom in Ukraine, then that must be extended to the Ukrainian Orthodox, to the Ukrainian Greek Catholics in Russia. And we know that will most likely never happen. Russia cannot be negotiating on a tilted field. It has to be an even playing field here. So that's one thing there. The other thing is the rare earth minerals. If you look at a map of the rare earth minerals, you'll notice there's a reason behind Russia's madness. Is that, Donetsk and all of southern Ukraine, they did this as much for historic nostalgia to get back the lands of Catherine the Great and Crimea and whatnot, as they did for money. And that money is in the form of rare earth minerals, which Ukraine has. Before the war started, Ukraine had $15 trillion of untouched natural resources, metals, gases, rare earth minerals, untouched. 15 trillion. That's a lot of potato chips. And there's no way that Russia was going to allow that to happen. So they may use the pretext of they're trying to defend tradition, they're trying to defend their language, they're trying to defend their people. It's all a lie. Or to denazify Ukraine, although Ukraine never had an alliance with Nazi Germany, but Russia did. Although Ukraine's president is Jewish, none of that matters. All these facts just don't matter in the Russian narrative. This is not about denazification or anything like that. This is about minerals and people trying to recoup populations. It's really from the playbook of kind of the Trump era, or the Bush era, in which they a lot of this interest in Kuwait and Iraq was revolving around the question of oil, and it's the same with Putin, is that it revolves around minerals. So that's my take on it. We have to advocate for these children. We have to pray. I ask people to pray for Ukraine, because if this is not a just peace, not a peace at any cost, then this will just be an interlude till the next wave of Russian aggression once Trump's out of office and we have another Biden or someone who's not as willing to be tough. So this is what we have to pray for. Pray for peace. Pray for the freedom of Ukraine. That there be an equal and just peace for religious freedom in Russia, for the religious minorities there, Catholics, Greek Catholics, Orthodox who are not aligned with the Moscow Patriarchate. Okay, pray, hope, and don't worry.